Good evening, dear listeners of the Forest Spirits channel. Today we'll hear about how a wolf guides a woman through a snowstorm. Kelly's steps faltered as fresh paw prints appeared in the snow, leading into the woods. Her spine tingled, sensing her only chance to find truth or her fate. She paused, brushed snow off, and approached the prints. Snow crunched softly beneath her, revealing vulnerability in the vast wilderness. Shadows deepened around her as branches formed a muffling canopy. Her senses heightened, every rustle or whisper felt amplified, silence pressing in. A faint flicker of light among the trees caught her eye, metallic or luminous, tempting yet ominous. Her heart raised signs or traps. The paw prints led toward the glow with secrets or danger. Torn between curiosity and caution, she hesitated again as a sharp windmate or grip her coat tighter. Her gaze stayed on the mysterious light, her breath forming icy clouds as snow softened. Shadows danced, whispering secrets she couldn't hear, while anticipation filled the air. Her thoughts turned to her lost child, pain sharp, but a fragile resolve sparked this path might be her only chance. Clenching the photograph, she decided to follow the trail despite unease. Her steps grew deliberate, drawing her toward the glow promising answers or more questions. Taking a deep breath, she moved into darkness. A lonely howl broke the silence. Kelly froze, ears tuned for more sounds, heart pounding with fear and hope. She realized she couldn't turn back. Her journey into the forest had begun, drawing her toward the shimmer. Her eyes scanned the shadows, seeking the light amid the storm. A silent movement occurred. Despite the cold sting and numb fingers, she refused to retreat, her gaze fixed on the flickering light. Her gaze stayed on the flickering glow, her body caught between doubt and resolve. Shadows seemed alive with silent messages. A fragile hope flickered within her, realizing she was part of the hidden rhythm rather than an outsider. Suddenly, a quick movement in the darkness caught her eye. Her muscles tensed, she wondered if it was wind or something real. She tried to interpret fleeting signs and glimpses of motion, hinting at something unseen. A faint earth sense stirred primal instinct. The wind's howl grew louder, but Kelly's focus tightened as she approached the light cautiously. The glow stabilized, revealing a faint figure beyond reach. Her eyes widened, she reached out, but it vanished into shadows and snow. Her heart pounded not from fear, but from a new awareness. She paused, sensing the forest's silent invitation. The glow steadied, revealing a faint silhouette beyond her reach. Kelly reached out, but it vanished into the storm. Alone in swirling snow, she trembled but stayed firm, sensing her understanding deepened. A new insight emerged. The forest was alive and aware. Hope flickered within her, a belief that amid darkness, a hidden path awaited. Dawn transformed the landscape. The storm had gone, leaving quiet snow and silenced trees. Despite aching limbs and cold muscles, calm settled as the storm's fury had cleansed her mind and land. She looked around at Yuki's steady eyes nearby in the silent forest. The Wolfdog's frost-edged coat revealed his cautious stance as Kelly watched, gratitude flickering. Is it a threat? Her fingers clenched into a fist, then relaxed, seeking Yuki's steady gaze. Taking a breath, she pushed doubts aside and rose slowly, legs trembling but grounded by the snow beneath. Moving cautiously, Yuki shadowed her steps. The animal's presence was comforting, yet a reminder of the wilderness's demands. The faint trail zigzagged through branches and logs, recent footprints hinting at passage. Kelly studied the sign's paw prints and impressions while silence pressed on her, broken only by breaths and Yuki's footsteps. She moved carefully, senses alert, trying to identify what disturbed the snow and who had crossed this spot recently. Yuki suddenly stopped, ears forward, nose flaring as he sniffed the air. Kelly's gaze flicked toward the indicated direction. A faint, distinct scent reached her recent and alive. Her stomach clenched with memories of shadows and fear, but this feeling was different, charged, and secretive. A gust of wind carried pine and damp earth, intensifying the scent. Her heart raced as she remembered the night's fears. Now she sensed something powerful had recently passed through. Yuki moved forward, stopped, then growled softly, more a signal than warning. Kelly hesitated before approaching the snow-covered underbrush. Faint snow impressions showed a hurried recent trail larger than her steps, hinting at urgency. The snow and shadows stretched ahead, but she realized this trail marked a turning point. Yuki suddenly froze, ears up and body tense. Kelly saw faint signs of recent disturbance, scratched snow, indicating something alive nearby. The forest rhythm changed, branches creaking louder and rustling growing urgent. Her heart pounded as she interpreted the clues. Was it an animal? Yuki growled warning or invitation. Cautiously, Kelly approached the underbrush, sensing recent hurried movement that left subtle tracks, blending curiosity with unease. Something bigger and more unpredictable than before was nearby. A gust of wind carried a sharp center, pine metal. Her stomach clenched with memories, shadows, darkness, being watched, but now she felt a purpose. She realized it was part of the wilderness's secret life. Yuki growled louder. Kelly stepped closer, eyes on the snow ahead. The trail was a message or challenge. Breathing steady, she moved forward with Yuki, trusting the path would reveal what she needed. The landscape was a maze of shadows and snow, but she became a seeker, ready for what lurked in the forest. Yuki suddenly stopped, ears erect, nose forward, muscles tense. Kelly saw a fresh, jagged snow scrape. Her heartbeat quickened as air shifted. Branches creaked louder. She sensed something disturbed the wood's creature, intruder, or unknown. Yuki growled louder, warning or challenge. Kelly stepped cautiously, eyes narrowing at the signs in the snow indicating movement. A metallic scent in the wind hinted nearby presence, triggering memories of shadows and darkness. Yuki growled warningly as Kelly approached disturbed snow, sensing something unusual. She felt close to uncovering a secret that could change everything as shadows lengthened and silence deepened. Steadying herself, Kelly realized she was beginning to understand the forest's hidden messages. Her gaze hardened and she tightened her grip on resolve. She would face whatever lay beyond the thicket with cautious determination, not fear. The trail drew her into the unknown, into buried truths beneath snow and shadow. Her journey was now about awakening to the forest heartbeat and discovering her strength within it. Kelly moved carefully into the silent clearing, shallow breath in a biting wind that carried a faint scent of smoke and metal. Scattered remnants of an old camp, rusted pots, broken branches, torn fabric lay in shadows flickering with gusts. She paused, narrowing her eyes to scan surroundings. Her fingers brushed cold metal protruding from a rusted pot. Her gaze fixed on a ragged cloth fragment caught on a splintered branch, a remnant of her past or something newer. Her hand trembled as she touched the torn edge, feeling frayed fibers under her fingertips. A wave of sorrow, nostalgia, and connection overwhelmed her, tears blurred or vision as memories surfaced. She recalled her child's blanket softness, comfort now lost amid grief's chaos. Her fingers lingered on the fabric's frayed threads, clinging to what remained of her past. The wind grew stronger, rustling leaves and whispering secrets she struggled to interpret. It carried a faint metallic scent that made her nostrils tingle, quickening her heartbeat. Her mind raced fire or something else. She clenched the fabric, trying to steady her breath. Suddenly, a distant sound pierced the silence, soft but persistent, like a faint cry or call. It echoed among the trees, hinting at desperation and stirring her instincts. She froze, listening closely, eyes darting toward the source. The sound seemed to come from beyond the clearing, from shadows like dark fingers. Hope flickered with caution. Was someone in trouble or just her mind tricking her? She scanned shadows for movement. Only rustling leaves and shifting light showed. Yet the sound persisted, pulling her forward, even as instincts urged her to stay still. She stepped cautiously, determined to uncover answers, clutching torn fabric amidst grief. She was no longer just observing, she actively sought the truth. Suddenly, a distant urgent cry pierced the air, echoing hope and desperation. Her breath caught. Was it help or her imagination? She clenched her fists, torn between fear and curiosity, then cautiously moved toward the sound. The forest held its breath as shadows stretched, wind whispering secrets. Kelly knew she could no longer ignore the darkness. Her journey had just begun, and that faint call drew her deeper into the mystery and maybe closer to the truth. As she advanced, her senses sharpened. A metallic scent indicated recent violence or danger, prompting her to scan for signs of life or threat. The torn fabric symbolized her resolve, merging her past and present as she stepped forward. Yuki's ears flicked forward, muscles tense as her body froze, alerting Kelly to the sudden stop. Following Yuki's gaze, Kelly narrowed her eyes at the dense undergrowth ahead. The trail had narrowed, obscured by tangled branches and snow, but her pause signaled urgency. She crouched carefully, brushing snow aside to examine faint footprints small, hurried, uneven that turned sharply into the shadowed woods. Curious and suspicious, she studied the impressions that seemed to stumble deeper into the forest's tangled depths. Yuki sniffed the air and looked at Kelly, silently urging her forward. The Wolfdog's instincts called softly but insistently within Kelly. She hesitated briefly, balancing doubts and purpose. A cold gust rattled the leaves. Kelly tightened her coat, glancing at Yuki's fixed gaze ahead. She knew this could test her resolve. Carefully, she stood, her boots crunching on snow, stepping toward the faint trail and shadows where footprints vanished. Her nerves tingled as the forest silence pressed around her, broken only by her breath and a distant rhythmic thumping steady and pulsating with her heartbeat. Pausing to listen closely, Yuki moved forward with nose to ground, ears swiveling toward the sound. Kelly followed with measured steps as the trail led into darker shadows where the pounding grew louder and more urgent. Questions raced through her mind as she advanced, unsure if it was a person, animal, or something unseen. Her fingers grasped her coat tightly, but her gaze stayed fixed. Each step was a choice to trust her instincts and the faint signs she sensed she was close to answers. Suddenly, the underbrush parted, revealing a dawn-lit clearing with charged air and pounding rhythm that resonated within her. She paused at the edge, eyes scanning the shadowy movement, something waiting or watching. Her breath caught, her pulse quickened, yet she stayed still. Trusting Yuki's lead in her intuition, she hesitated, then stepped forward, snow crunching beneath her boots. The pounding continued, echoing as a reminder that her uncertain journey led to an unopened truth. Kelly's fists clenched, feeling her past press on her, but also a fragile hope. The shadowed figure shifted, briefly interrupting the rhythm, as if recognizing her presence. Her gaze stayed fixed, tense but determined, ready to face whatever lay beyond darkness. A subtle movement caught her eye, the silhouette's hand or posture, her heart pounding, yet her stance firm. The pounding in her bones matched the shadow's beat, marking a crucial moment. The figure straightened as silence settled thickly. She waited, realizing this was more than confrontation, but a revelation that could change everything. A faint movement and then a soft voice broke the silence. Kelly's muscles tensed as she stepped forward, determined to face what awaited, shifting from following Yuki. Her eyelids fluttered, fighting exhaustion, but weariness pulled her into fragile sleep, trembling from cold and grief. Outside, the wind softened, but darkness persisted. The shelter shuddered with each gust. Kelly's mind drifted into a hazy silence beyond her refuge, questioning how much longer she could endure loneliness and longing. Her icy hands clenched around the necklace, tears welled in her eyes. A faint resolve emerged. She couldn't surrender to despair. Her gaze shifted to Yuki, sitting silently nearby, ears alert. The Wolfdog's presence was a quiet reminder she was not alone. Yuki nudged her gently. Kelly looked at him, heart tightening. The calm animal seemed to speak silent understanding and companionship. She reached out tremblingly, stroking Yuki's rough fur, feeling its texture beneath her fingers. Momentarily, her grief eased enough to breathe. A faint noise outside shattered the calm. Kelly's senses instantly sharpened as she strained to listen. The subtle rustling grew closer, moving cautiously through the underbrush. Her heart pounded, but her face stayed calm. Yuki readied herself silently. Kelly held her necklace tightly, whispering, "Who's there?" over the whispering whined. Silence answered her, thick and oppressive, then a faint crack echoed nearby. Kelly's eyes widened as a shadow flickered at the shelter's edge. She moved closer to Yuki, curiosity pushing her instincts as the figure hesitated outside. The tension grew. Kelly grasped a jagged stone for safety, while Yuki stayed alert. The figure stepped into moonlight, face hidden, movements hesitant, and they stared silently at each other. Finally, the figure softly said, "You're not alone. I saw your fire and checked if you're safe." Kelly stiffened, her trust fragile, but the tone genuine. She hesitated, then nodded, trembling. "I'm managing. Who are you?" The figure stepped closer, hands open. "I'm Mira. I've traveled these woods and saw your fire. No harm meant." Yuki sniffed and relaxed slightly. Kelly remained wary. Inside her grief, hope lingered as Mira offered help, and Kelly chose to trust. A cold wind whistled as she stepped cautiously onto the thin ice, Yuki close by in tense silence. The icy landscape was silent and fragile. Beneath, the surface threatened to crack any moment. She moved cautiously, her breath visible, memories of loss haunting her mind. After a brief hesitation, she pressed on, then heard a sudden crack underfoot. Tensing instinctively, she studied the shimmering ice, heart pounding from a nearly imperceptible shift. Despite fear, she kept going while Yuki softly barked and nudged her hand for reassurance. Kelly gently patted her companion's head, drawing strength from her calm confidence. She looked toward the horizon where a small shadowy figure moved steadily through the snow, purposeful and human. Suspicion and curiosity clashed friend or foe. The cold heightened or senses the distant silhouette, footprints, whispering wind. She tightened her coat and took cautious steps forward. The ice groaned louder, every move echoed in the silence. Yuki matched her pace, alert and tense. The stranger stayed still, but Kelly sensed it was watching, waiting for the right moment. Wind swirled snow around a blurred outline, quickening Kelly's heartbeat. She hesitated, then decided and moved forward, eyes on the silhouette. Approaching, it was a dark, cloaked figure with footprints leading into the forest. Kelly wondered if it was someone from her past or a messenger. Her curiosity grew, but she stayed cautious. The ice cracked louder beneath her. Clutching her talisman tightly, she steadied herself with Yuki's calm presence. Each step challenged her doubts until she reached a few yards from the figure, with the wind pausing quietly. Kelly saw the tall cloaked figure more clearly, its head bowed, waiting silently. Her mind raced with questions: should she call out or approach cautiously? Overwhelmed, her legs moved forward. The figure lifted its head, eyes bright and piercing. A shiver ran down her spine, not from cold, but from the moment's weight. She understood she couldn't turn back. The stranger's faint nod was her only answer. Kelly tensed, heart pounding with dread and resolve. She stepped closer, each step bringing her nearer to the unknown. When her foot finally touched the ice nearby, a new chapter quietly began, one that would change her understanding of herself and her journey. The frozen silence seemed to hold its breath as Kelly felt calm determination and fragile hope beneath the trembling surface. She paused at the abandoned cabin, her breath fogging in the cold air. Snow blanketed the weathered walls, giving the place an almost forgotten presence among the silent wilderness. The door slightly ajar, its hinges creaked as wind pushed it open. She hesitated, hand trembling over the worn wood, torn between entry and retreat. Shadows cloaked the interior, dimly lit by weak daylight. A stale scent of dust and rust filled the air. Debris cluttered the floor-torn fabric, broken utensils, a rusted lantern. Every step was cautious, her eyes examined fragile surfaces. Near a scarred table, a leather-bound journal lay partially covered by cloth. Knelling, Kelly brushed away dust and gently lifted it. Inside, faded ink showed hurried handwriting. "Tomorrow I will leave this place. Heavy memories remain, but someone might find what I leave behind someday." Her uncertainty lingered, but an urge pushed her forward. She hesitated briefly before cautiously ascending, her steps muffled on the creaky stairs. Clutching the railing and journal, she moved toward the dark upper floor with fractured shadows and floating dust. Pausing at the corridor's end, she listened, silence followed by faint rustling from the last door. Kelly gently pushed it open into a cluttered, undisturbed room. An old bed with a worn quilt, a battered trunk, and a small window letting in faint light. Her eyes fixed on an old clothing heap draped over a chair. Approaching, she caught movement out of the corner of her eye, spun sharply, heart racing, and saw a shadow behind a torn curtain. Her breath caught and skin prickled. She sensed presence, but saw nothing concrete. A creak behind her mate or turn, the room was empty, shadow gone. She clutched the journal tighter, questioning if it was her imagination or a fragment of someone else's story, perhaps bound here by silence and time. Deciding she couldn't ignore its significance, Kelly cautiously moved toward the staircase. Her instincts urged retreat, but her resolve grew. She hid the journal in her coat pocket. The house's quiet murmurs seemed to echo secrets waiting to be found. As she headed for the exit, downstairs sounds a soft thud and shuffling shattered the silence. Her muscles tensed instinctively. She hesitated, then descended carefully, senses sharpened. Her footsteps muffled on the creaking floorboards, balancing retreat and confrontation. Reaching the ground floor, she paused at the door, listening. The house seemed to hold its breath. Faint movement from the shadows, something shifting or just settling of the old structure. Kelly's gaze flickered to the open door and snow beyond. She faced a choice, investigate further or leave, clutching her fragile discovery. Her fingers brushed the journal's edge as she took a deep breath, feeling cold air and uncertainty. Finally, she stepped outside, closing the door softly behind her. The snow crunched beneath her boots as she moved away from the cabin, questions swirling in her mind. The house's whispers echoed in her ears. She felt a resolve awakening. Whatever secrets lay here, she was now part of them, ready for what awaited next. Kelly hesitated at the stairs' top, gripping the railing to stay grounded. Outside, wind battered the cabin fiercely, howling through cracks and making logs groan under storm pressure. Shadows flickered across walls cast by her trembling candle flame in gusts seeping through every crack. Her chest tightened, breath shallow and quick, as her mind struggled to interpret the chaos. A loud crash upstairs shattered the silence, causing her to recoil. The sound echoed down the corridor like a gunshot. She froze, eyes on the staircase, heart pounding loudly. Was that an animal, furniture falling, or something else? Her instincts urged her to run, but her legs refused to move. She was rooted to the spot. She hesitated before stepping onto the first stair, each creak deliberate as she crossed into danger. The storm outside made the house sway and shadows flicker, disorienting her further. She pressed her hand against the wall for stability, trying to quiet her pounding heart amid the storm's roar. As she climbed, her senses sharpened, and every sound seemed threatening. Her mind imagined lurking dangers above an intruder, a spirit, or an unseen presence. She clenched her fists around her coat, pushing forward despite the cold and darkness pressing in. Reaching the top, she paused and listened, silence or not. Shadows stretched along the hallway as she hesitated between doors. The smell of damp wood and smoke stirred memories of past powerlessness. Suddenly, a shadow flickered beyond her view, making her tense instantly. The fleeting form sparked adrenaline, leaving her questioning if it was real or a sign. Her mind raced with possibilities: an intruder, a fallen object, or something else. Beneath fear, resolve grew. She wouldn't be paralyzed. Kelly cautiously entered the hallway, her hand on the doorknob at the end. The door was slightly open, muffling its creak in the wind. She pushed it slowly open, revealing a dim room lit by a flickering candle, filled with old furniture and scattered papers. The scent of wax and aged paper mingled with dampness, thick with secrets. She scanned the space carefully, an old desk cluttered with torn papers, a quill, and ink sat against the wall. A weathered journal lay open on a shelf, its pages filled with hurried sketches and trembling writing. Kelly paused, feeling an odd pull as if it held secrets from her past she was just beginning to uncover. A loud thud upstairs startled her, making her hesitate and tighten her grip. No hesitation or retreat. Kelly moved cautiously, resolute, as the shadow flickered at the top and the storm peaked. She grasped the railing, eyes on the silhouette, heart pounding but unwavering. She was ready to confront the darkness and uncover its secrets or be consumed. Stepping into the frostbitten forest, her muffled steps avoided disturbing the silent night, with moonlight softly illuminating an ancient tree at the clearing's center, its roots like veins of a dormant beast. She paused, her gaze on the tall figure, senses alert to the night's faint sounds, feeling a deep awareness. Her hand brushed rough bark, sensing a subtle pulse and ancient energy. Memories of her child's smile and fading laughter merged into reverence as she traced carvings on the tree. The scent of pine and earth grew stronger, the forest seeming to exhale in solidarity. Her fingers pressed harder as the tree trembled, roots awakening from long sleep. A warm glow pulsed from the core, inviting her closer with mysterious energy. A subtle shift happened, her grief eased, replaced by fragile acceptance, rooted in her past and the forest's wisdom. She took a deep breath, shoulders relaxed, smiling faintly as she understood or pain was part of a larger story. Listening to the forest's silence, she felt its gift, timeless knowledge. As she stepped away from the tree, her resolve grew stronger, embracing her journey and trusting the path ahead. The wind's hum softened as her understanding grew. Kelly's steps became lighter. Despite her grief, a faint resolve remained, urging her toward the uncertain path ahead. The world held its breath as she hesitated, snow crunching quietly. She moved carefully, aware her choice could change her fate. A shadow flickered at the edge of her vision, swift and elusive. Her heart raced not with fear, but alertness. Was it a creature or something else? The silhouette disappeared into swirling snow and wind, leaving a cold shiver and unspoken warning that she was watched. She tightened her grip on the photograph and stepped more cautiously. Yuki's fur bristled as he snorted softly, sensing danger nearby. Kelly felt primal warning signals and scanned the silent landscape, listening for unseen threats. The open plain called again, its cold vastness pressing into her bones. Snowflakes fell gently as if the universe urged renewal. She wondered whether to hold onto the past or trust the uncertain future. The choice was hers, with stakes higher than ever. Taking a deep breath steadied her nerves, she lifted her chin, squared her shoulders, and exhaled, embracing silence. Her hesitation vanished, her heartbeat slowed despite grief's weight. Carefully, she stepped into the snow-covered field, her footsteps swallowed by whiteness. A shadow flickered at her vision's edge, blending with falling snow, her breath hitched as awareness sharpened. Was it watching or a trick of her mind? The shadow retreated behind trees, leaving an unsettling ripple of unease. A prickling on her neck reminded or unseen eyes might be tracking her every move. Her grip on the photograph tightened, grounding her as the wind whispered change. She paused, then moved forward into the unknown, muscles tense but spirit unwavering. Dawn's light cast amber across the forest as Kelly walked purposefully, Yuki beside her sensing renewal. Shadows receded as hope replaced despair in her refuge. Kelly's gaze lingered on the woods, flickering memories of pain and fragile hope. Though sorrow remained, it no longer defined her. She felt a subtle relief energize her steps. Her confidence grew with each stride, her movements steadier despite the uneven trail. Yuki paused to sniff the air before resuming his trot, encouraging her onward. Their bond deepened as the landscape opened into a sunlit clearing with shy wildflowers emerging from melting snow. The silence was broken only by rustling leaves and distant bird songs. Kelly inhaled the cool air, feeling renewed vitality beneath the pale blue sky. Memories of longing softened into acceptance. The forest mysteries now felt like allies. Suddenly, she heard a faint crunch beneath the undergrowth, like footsteps on snow. Her senses sharpened instantly, alerting her to unseen movement in the shadows. Kelly slowed, scanning the area. Nothing was immediate, but awareness prickled along her skin. The forest silence subtly hinted at life's persistence, unpredictable and alive. Yuki twitched ears and turned toward a distant thicket, tail low but alert. Kelly followed, her heart steady despite curiosity. She knew secrets lingered in the woods, some hidden in shadows, others whispering in the wind. The faint sound urged her to stay attentive rather than retreat. Her hand rested on her pendant, her hope and memory symbol reassuring her and grounding her position. Fixing her gaze on the sound source, she paused as she saw a faint shimmer like a distant star among branches flickering in and out of view with an otherworldly rhythm. It called her forward, promising discovery and closure, warning of the unknown. Yuki moved ahead, nose to the ground, then paused, eyes on the shimmer. Kelly followed slowly, aware of the fragile moment. Nearer, the glow grew brighter, revealing a delicate radiance above the underbrush. Her hand trembled as she reached out, driven by awe and curiosity. The flicker pulsed and faded, leaving a warm sensation in her fingertips. Her heart warmed with wonder instead of fear. It felt like the forest shared a fragment of its soul, a gift of trust and resilience. She looked around. All was silent, but alive with ancient watchfulness. The fleeting moment changed her, whispering of healing and new beginnings. Kelly took a deep breath, grounding herself in life's harmony. When she opened her eyes again, her gaze was steady and strong. She glanced at the distant trees and faced the rising sun before resuming her walk with a gentle smile and confidence about what lay ahead. Grief still lingered, but no longer enslaved her. It became part of her journey. As she moved on, a faint, familiar murmur drifted on the breeze, a whisper of life and stories to come. Maybe a new chapter was starting, or the forest's silence had given way to awakening. Kelly's heart held quiet hope, her spirit ready to face what lay beyond the trees, knowing she was no longer lost, but rediscovering herself.